What's up, guys? I'm Jason, it's the Freeburg Garage, and today we are in part 12 of the Harley-Davidson FXRT. Behind me, I've had this whole motor pulled apart, down, and stripped, except for, of course, the trans and the lower. Now we are diving into the cam install. Going back up, we have the cam bearing, which is very important to replace when you're doing a cam itself. So that's already was done on the last one. Specialized tools done by the spec'd manual. Go check it out if you haven't. If you're interested in doing one yourself, stay through until the end because there are a lot of key parts of getting this cam installed. If you're looking to do one of these for yours, it's gonna help you out quite a bit. So let's get in this motor, check it out. All right, so I forgot to clean the top of the CAMSHAFT. I cleaned the inside and the outside from last time. So we're gonna go ahead and get the last touches of the cleaning to get this CAMSHAFT all buckled up, put back together, so we're good to go for the cam. All right, so let's get this scrubbed up. Alright, so we got everything cleaned up, wiped down, and ready for install on the camshaft. Now, which cam did I go with after all this mathematical equations of what I was trying to figure out? An EV27 by Andrew cams. It is a common cam that is out there that just performs very nicely. It is great mid to high range on this motor and is a perfect fit for my top end of what I'm looking to do. But there was much more than just shoving the cam inside of the chest plate and calling it a day. And depending on where you're at and how much you are doing to your motor is going to reflect on what you need to do. So I am not changing out my pinion gear. I'm actually going to keep my oil gear here as well, because if you go into Andrews, as soon as you open up the box, they give you this paperwork here, right? This paperwork tells you where your gear lash needs to be. And the gear lash is measured from top to bottom between the grooves there, from there down to here. So dead center, up and down, you have to measure that. And you have to be, so I have it correct, it's 0.000, 4 zeros, or 0.0005, all the way up to there. So 0 to 5, and it has to be no greater than that. If you go greater, you're gonna have too much slop into it. And which mine was. I mic'd it out, and I think it was probably 40 thousandths of an inch, or 400 thousandths of an inch greater than what it was spec'd as. So that small of a difference may not seem that much, but if you put it together, eventually you're going to hear chatter either right off the bat or down the road, and you're going to detonate that motor from the inside or destroy the gear for longevity. And maybe your pinion gear, I've seen that online, people wondering why their pinion gear is destroyed. Maybe it had a cam swapped out, or the cam was swapped out in the bike that they got, and now they have to go and redo the whole pinion gear as well. So you want to make sure that those are going to be in the same, spec for what Andrew says. So once you do that, I have already taken my old gear and put it on the new cam. There's my old cam right there, and there is my new gear. So old gear, new cam, proper for what I have, that's going to match directly to my old pinion gear and my oil gear here as well. So everything is going to go back to matching. If you want to keep the new gear on your cam, as long as you have the same lash, you should have no problem. But if you don't, and you put it in there, you have to actually swap out your pinion gear to match. So that becomes a whole deal in itself, and going down to it. Now, if you're splitting the case, putting all that, you won't even have to think about that, because you're gonna buy all that matches together. And this goes across the board generally for any cam that you're gonna put into these Evo motors. So, the spacing and how much slack we need to find, that's what we're gonna be doing today to get this installed, is that in 88 and above, they didn't space the Evo cams. They made them actually a little bit bigger, so there was no spacing as far as what I can tell. They didn't make any spacing for them. And the spec for what they want is at a 0.001 to .050. It's right around there. I'll bring it up on the screen so you guys actually have it. So that's where that play needs to be once the cam's installed. If you have an 87 and below, you have spacers that are on there, and they go from .011 to .015 or 16, right around there. I have to go into it. But the book and service manual talks about that, and you want to be real key on that, and you want to make sure that you have the right colors matched up. If you have some kind of odd bike that you just got, it tells you what ones you have. Now on my original cam gear, I have a blue painted on there, and there's a white here, and there's all different colors matching from your pinion to your camshaft gear in the book. And they range from orange, white, yellow, red, blue, green, black, and orange, white, yellow, blue, green, black for your pinion gear. So they all are different, and they go all different sizes and all that. So definitely something you want to make sure that you're matching up with, instead of just shoving a new camshaft in there and thinking that you're going to be just fine. You have to make sure that your play, your lash, and everything is set. So once again, I am just switching out my camshaft gear because everything else around here is staying the same, so everything is going to flow back together, and I don't have to swap it all out, and I don't have to worry about it smacking gears or chattering in the long run, and keeping the motor safe in the longevity of it, so when I'm riding on the road. So a lot of good stuff there to be able to know if you're doing the camshaft gear, and as long as you have a service manual and taking the time into it, you should have no problem trying to actually figure that stuff out. Now, the pain in the butt part of trying to get the spacing on an 88 and above, and when you switch to like an Andrews cam, there's no spacers. They don't have spacers that come with it, but you need spacers on now the EV cam, because the EV cam is meant for all the Evos. So what they did was essentially mimic what would be the early camshafts with all the spacings, and then you would just adapt to your, your Evo that didn't have spacings and put spacers in there. Problem is that you don't know what your spacing is or have any idea what spacers to start off with. So there's a big list and line that you have to choose from on the service manual. Now you can go broke doing it because they're not cheap. They go anywhere between $4 to $8, and they don't sell them in a pack as far as what I could find. They don't sell them in just like a master pack, which is what I was looking for. You have to buy them individually. So if you go buy a shop, hopefully they got like a bucket of them that you can grab a couple of them and match them up. So I did some research, and I found there's a gentleman selling supposedly the magical sizing for this. So I'm really hoping that today we are going to find the correct sizing is right in here. At least this will get us to where I need to be, and then maybe I'll just have to get the spacers that go and match it. But I figured this will be a good start. That's not going to break the bank. It gives me a couple different spacers in it, and this guy was the only one that was selling them this way. And so this is the most common spacing that you need. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna open these up, check them out, and see what we're dealing with here. And if they truly do work and you guys are interested, you can just message me on Instagram. I'll tell you where to go get them. I'll make any money off them, so it doesn't really matter to me, but it will probably help save you if you were trying to do the same deal on here. Let's check this out. Nice paper bag. Oh, there we go. All right, there's our package there. Nice. Well, definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to packaging, because everything is very well put together, thought out on this. And I can't remember the sizing offhand that he has on here, but there's 3 of them that they come with. And then, of course, our camshaft backing plate. I'm going to use his because that's the formula that he's created, and I don't know if this is thicker or smaller than the one that I have on there, but we're going to use this one. So I'm going to now get this set up essentially for a pre-mock-up. We're going to slide it in and then get it figured out. So essentially here we are, and let's see. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to slide this in. You got to put then the whole cover on, put some bolts on, snug it up with the gasket, measure the play, and see where we land. All right, so we're gonna match up our gear to our timing spots here. Okay, good there. And throw our oil gear on there as well. Matching up our timing spots all together right there. And throw our chest plate on with gasket we're gonna use. Bam! Let's throw some bolts in here and we'll check our spacing. Alright, installing the timing insert here for the camshaft. There's an insert right here, or slot. We want to make sure that it's perfectly aligned with the camshaft, otherwise it's not going to fit right. Put that in. Alright, so I got the camera angle set up. We want to hit right in there for our spacing. You can hear it. Let's go back and forth. That's the spacing that we're measuring. Got my mics here. And I got 0.014 to 15 and 16. That's where the sweet spot I want to be at for this one. So we're going to try 0.4 first. Too loose. And 0.5. That seems pretty good there. Let's try 1.6 or 0.016. I keep saying it wrong there. And that's it. 0.016. Perfectly snugged in there. Hopefully you guys can see on the camera. Probably not the greatest, but right on the money. First spacer. That does not always happen. That kit was pretty spot on. So awesome. So that's exactly where I want to be. I'm in the range. It's pretty wide where you want to be, but as far as what I've been told and where it's been at, that's where you want to land, is where our spacing wants to be. So I'm going to take this all apart one more time and get it all properly lubed, and then we'll do the full torque spec and the cam will be all properly installed. It's an assembly lube, anything that touches metal to metal, and we're going to make sure our timing marks are correct. And there is no torque spec here. I'm just gonna snug it down. Or if there is one, I just find it. So just snug that right when it stops. Go too hard, you'll snap it right off. Okay, let's get our mounting bolts onto here. All right, now it doesn't say in the service manual, but by the yellow here shows that there's some type of Loctite on there. I'm gonna throw some medium strength on here. That's typically what the covers have, primary cover and everything. So slide those on here. All right, these are supposed to be 90 to 120 inch-pounds. So we're just gonna do 90, make it easy. There we are. And there. And there, perfect. All right, let's get our final measurement just to make sure we are still square on the slack and we aren't over compensating for anything that I didn't see when I was doing it. So we were at 0.016 where we were at 4 right there. We are good. Okay, looks good on the cam. Bam, there it is, the camshaft install all put back together so far. On the bottom end, we have everything spaced out, snugged up. We just now need, of course, lifters. We have lifter tops. We have then the push rods. We have cylinders, heads, all that. Each of those going together, the way that this build is happening has to be spec'd accordingly and has to be measured, and everything to the new build. Everything has to match and form together like a puzzle or to a gear, because it will show itself on the other end going down the road. So that's why I'm taking each of these segments as they come. And of course, as the parts are starting to roll in, these videos will come out to you guys so I can get them done and show you what it's taking to get me all the way to completion for this motor. I'm stoked by each piece coming in. Hopefully this helps you guys out too if you're trying to do any of the stuff that I'm trying to knock out. But as always, guys, that about wraps for me on this one. If you could hit the subscribe button, tap that like, press the notification, leave a comment below and tell me what you think. And for those that have already subscribed, thank you. As always, stay free. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.